We're going to be talking about immigration, and I'd like for you to send your comments on your questions for me. If you have any questions as far as coronavirus and immigration is concerned, do send us your message. We'll share it with the rest of the world. I still have most of your messages here. We'll see how it goes. But this afternoon, there are calls for government to evacuate Ghanaians, especially students stranded in other countries, as the global border shutdown begins to bite hard. Ghana is among many other countries that have shut their borders in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Well, Ghana's border has been closed for more than 2 months, and now there is pressure on some players in the hospitality industry threatening to pack baggage and leave. They're not alone in this. Some Ghanaians who are also stranded elsewhere say they've reached their limit and want governments to bring them back home. We'll speak to them shortly. Plus, we'll hear from an immigration consultant on this. First, the ranking member of Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, Kutor, has been speaking about the matter on the AM show with Roland Walker.
I'm glad you bring this matter up. I have absolutely no regret for that position. I am very proud, rather very, very proud about that position that I took. And I must quickly dispel that fake news. You know, the WHO has said that they are not only fighting a pandemic, they are also fighting an infodemic. Government propagandists have said that, oh, if we had listened to Kutor, Ghana will by now be like Italy, be like France, be like America, because Italy, France, America evacuated their students, and see what has happened to them. Blatant falsehood. That is fake news. Check the cursory reading. The cases, the first cases in all of these countries had nothing to do with evacuation. Indeed, the science shows that evacuation is your best bet, because evacuation follows protocols. Before you evacuate any group of people, you test them to be sure that they are negative. If you are positive, you don't go on board the flight. When you have arrived at your destination, you are quarantined. You are put under compulsory quarantine for not less than 14 days. And you are checked. There's a video of the South Africa student evacuation, Cyril Ramaphosa. You know,
I've watched that.
Yes, you've watched that video. And then he says that, look, it's after 14 days, you are all clear. It's now been moved from a red zone to a green zone. You can all go home. So evacuations are your safest things. I say that it did not make sense that when you prevented our students from coming in, you refused to evacuate our students, yet you kept the borders opened. Several weeks, you kept the borders open. And flights were coming in even from China. Remember that the Wuhan epidemic spread to mainland China. And so many countries stopped flights, including the United States of America. They were the first country to stop flights from China. Then other countries followed. We in Ghana, we blocked our students from coming. We said it was too risky, it was dangerous. Something that no country does. When you are a nation, your ability to take your nationals from harm's way. All those who were saying, oh, it was a reckless call, it was not safe. Will you say same if it was your child in that situation? If you were the student in Wuhan? So there are over 100 countries who evacuated. Are we saying that we are wiser than those countries? In Africa, look at the number of countries that evacuated their students from Wuhan. You can mention South Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya evacuated their students. Mauritania, Kenya, they all evacuated their students from Wuhan.
I'm going to take you, that's the minority spokesperson on foreign affairs, so Kutor. I'm going to take you now to the Jubilee House, where the hotel operators are also meeting President Kutor to discuss a way out of this situation. Elton Bobe is our correspondent there, joins me live. Hello, Elton. Has this meeting started?
No, Gifty, we are just 10 minutes away from this meeting. Originally planned for 3, now be 4. but I can tell you that the hoteliers or members from the hospitality industry are already in.
All right.
All we're waiting for is for the president and members of government to also come in for the meeting to start. Now, even before they will get into the content of what we discussed this afternoon, we've been told that the industry players have already put together their own plan of action that they are hoping that government will support them to carry through. Indeed, they've made it clear that the continuous closure of our borders is actually collapsing their business. Some of them say that because there's a general ban on conferencing and all these issues, it has affected them greatly. Some have actually laid off workers. Some have asked workers to stay home until the situation normalizes. Some say that the only time they got some money was when government decided to use some of their hotels as isolation centers for those who came into the country. Immediately, the president announced closure of all our borders. After those people were treated and then asked to go home after the 2 weeks mandatory period, their hotels have been left empty. They're virtually running the hotels and not getting guests to stay in, which is a cost for them. And indeed, before this meeting, they met the Minister for Tourism at a forum sometime 3 weeks ago, in which they presented a paper to the minister and asked that they are supported with as much as 500 million Ghana cedis to be shared among those within the value chain. That particular document has yet to receive the attention of government. Indeed, other particular meeting, the minister made it clear that he was going to confer with government on the proposals put forward by the members from this particular industry. But walking into this meeting, they are yet to be told government position on this proposal. My information is that when the document got to the presidency, the president actually asked that a meeting is scheduled for them to come and justify why they should be supported with the taxpayers' money to sustain their business. That, I'm told, is the main content for the discussion this afternoon. And as has been the tradition, the media will be allowed into the meeting for the introductory part where President Kutor will try to update members from this industry about what government has done so far, what government is doing going forward. And then the hospitality industry will also bring forth some of their concerns. When that is done, then we'll go into a closed-door session where I'm told that the content or what they are asking for from government will be discussed, and government position as far as their proposal is will also be communicated to them. So in 10 minutes' time, the introductory part will take place, after which we'll be asked to excuse them, and then we'll get into the content. But this is only what they will be discussing.
Elton, I'm curious to find out what this group is made up of. Are they owners of, indigenous owners of hotels, or, hoteliers, or people within that industry, or are they mixed up, or are they people, expatriates, essentially?
Right, so the invitation was extended to members of the hospitality industry. So that includes hoteliers, car rentals, people who are generally classified as in the hospitality hub. So we have indigenous and foreigners, foreign companies operating in Ghana. They've all come together. Right. I'm told that members from the aviation industry, local airline operators, also included in this particular package for this business. So we are looking at a whole broad of players classified as hospitality, providers, hotel, car rentals, people from the aviation industry, and people who generate tour guides and all these people. So they have their own, demands, and this afternoon is providing them the opportunity to justify why they should be supported. And then after that, we'll know the way forward.
Thank you, Elton. We'll come back to you as and when. Elton Bobe is Presidential Affairs Correspondent, bringing us up to speed on a meeting by persons within the hospitality industry who are set to meet President Kutor to have a conversation to indeed, like Elton is saying, justify 500 million support they need, or they say they need to be able to survive. We'll get you more on that shortly. But at the moment, Like I said, some Ghanaians are still stranded. You heard the minority spokesperson on Foreign Affairs also speak about how government has handled this evacuation situation. Let's have a conversation on it. And if you have any questions or ideas, thoughts, send them to our WhatsApp platform, and then I'll share it with my analyst here in the studio. The number is 0540-109009. Well, he is an immigration consultant. Wanda Victor Kutor is my guest again today. Mr. Kutor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So let's start with what the minority spokesperson on Foreign Affairs says. My first question is, does the state, let's start this way. Did the state break any law as far as its obligations to its citizens when it decided that it cannot evacuate people who are stuck outside the country?
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers. It depends on how you look at it. First of all, the state has responsibility towards its citizens, whether back home or abroad. So it depends on how you look at it. But in my humble opinion, I do not think that the state had breached any law in their refusal to evacuate, because there's no, it was not mandatory on government. So it depends on how you look at it.
Doesn't the state owe its residents or its citizens that responsibility of catering for them? So we have people in this country who are evacuating, foreigners who are evacuating and their nationals. Does the state not owe people that responsibility?
Yeah, I'm happy you have referred to countries taking out their foreign nationals out of Ghana. In fact, on March 25th, the U.S. had evacuated 305 persons of their citizens out of Ghana. 4 days later, March 29th, the UK also took its citizens out of the country. So now you have to, first of all, look at the cost implication. I'm happy you have referred to the interview made by Honorable Okujato Ablakwa. But the proponents, those making arguments in favor of evacuation, had failed to tell us who bear the cost. Who bear the cost? Now,
shouldn't it be the state bearing the cost? I'll just interrupt you briefly while she mounts over that. One of the Ghanaians who is stranded is a mother of 3. She's finding it difficult to pay her rent or feed her family as she's stranded in South Africa. We're concealing her identity at her request, so we call her Efia for purposes of this conversation. Hello, Efia.
Hello.
Thank you very much for your time. Give us a brief on your situation, your current situation.
Sorry?
Give us a brief. Tell us what your current situation is, Efia.
It's very tough here. Things are not easy here for us, especially the foreign nationals. We are finding things difficult here.
Give me an idea. Give us a mental picture for those of us who are not there. Help us to understand and feel what you feel at the moment, if you can.
We can't even pay our rent. Even food, to buy food is not easy for us. It's not easy for us to buy food.
Have you been in touch
our
with...
rent.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Yeah, and most of us, we have a kid. We are with our kids here. So things are not easy, as I'm saying. It's not easy at all.
I can very well hear your child, one of your children, I believe, in the background. But have you been in touch with the Ghanaian mission in South Africa?
Yeah, we did, but there's no help.
What did they tell you?
There's no help.
What did they tell you?
They said there's no money. The government haven't put any money for such a situation, so there is no money for them to help. So we are still struggling.
So where do you live? How do you eat? How do your children eat?
It's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's not easy. Sometimes my mother-in-law, it's not easy for them.
Are you married to a South African?
No, I'm married from a Ghana. I'm married from a Ghana.
From Ghana, all right.
My husband is a Ghanaian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find out how, you say it's not easy, I get it. How do you then eat? Tell us what you do so that people can actually feel it.
Yeah, it's people. Yeah, we beg for food. We go around. Occasionally we go around to beg for food, and then they give it to us.
What do you expect from the government of Ghana?
We need help. We wanted to go home because once we are here, we can't even buy food for our kids ourselves, and then to pay a rent is a problem. It's better for us to go home. At least home is home because we are struggling here.
Well, that is not happening at the moment. What is your plan?
Yeah, if our brother and sister in Ghana, the government can help us here to sustain, so the long, how do you call it, things go down, then we can.
All right.
So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story with us, Ifya. Thank you. That's a Ghanaian stranded in South Africa. She has 3 children. She said she's unable to pay her rent. She can't get food. They go around to beg for food. She's been in touch with the Ghanaian mission in South Africa. They tell her there is no money at the moment to help. All right, so I'm coming back to you, Mr. Kutor, and I want to find out again, for somebody like Ifya, what can she do apart from going to the mission, Ghana's mission in South Africa, and saying, hey, I need help, and they telling her they can't help? What else can she do that's legally binding, for example, on state authorities?
Thank you. Like I was saying, you must always look at the cost element. There are also Ghanaians back home who are also stranded. So the focus should not only be about those out there. We had made references to countries who had evacuated their citizens from Ghana. But the issue is that it is not free. It is not free. I will give you 3 examples. We are going to use US, UK, and Nigeria, for example. Now, in the case of US, the US law allows that the US evacuate their citizens, and that the citizens will sign a promissory note before boarding the flight. Now, the promissory note is just a legal commitment that the citizens will later reimburse the US government. So it's not free. Now,
is that what's happening at the moment?
Yes, that's what actually happened. Now, with regards to the UK, the flight that they chartered on March 29th, they charged each evacuees £500. £500. So I was expecting the ranking member of parliament, Kutor, when making the argument, to tell us who bear the cost. Will it be the taxpayers, or the evacuees will later reimburse the Ghanaian government? Okay. We must know. There should be a clear-cut policy. Is it for free? And it cannot be for free, because there are Ghanaians who are also stranded in Ghana. So it shouldn't be the case that because you are outside and then you are stranded, the government should bring you back for free. No. The question is, even when they come back to Ghana, how would they survive? I mean, so background checks will have to be done before bringing them back home. Now, what even took them out of the country? What are they doing there? We must look at the circumstances. If the person is a student, that may be a different case. But even at that, the government must look at it carefully. Government may bring them back now to solve the problem, but they may probably have to reimburse government on a later date.
Well, I don't know, but I never knew that people, those who have been evacuated by their countries, were being charged. I don't know if that is a situation in the case of those who took their citizens out of China. I mean, the countries that took their citizens out of China. But for the person who cannot pay, I mean, there's a difference between some people, the people who traveled for tourism and who have to go back, and there's a difference between people who are there struggling to find something to eat, and they have to be to relocate back home because they have not prepared for it. For those people, does the state not owe them that responsibility once again?
Yeah, like I said, we all have rights. Just as Ghanaians outside, Ghanaians back home also have rights.
Right.
Now, are we saying that we should use taxpayers to bring people back home? I do not support that.
What's wrong with that?
No, the point is, there should be reasons why the taxpayers' money should be used on any Ghanaian.
Isn't it reason enough when people are at risk of being infected with a deadly
Government can
virus?
do that now, but on the condition that they will reimburse the government. And I'm happy that you are mentioning countries. You are mentioning countries which have told that line. I'm going to give you a letter here from the Nigerian High Commission. Okay. Line 4, paragraph 3 of the letter tells you that, you may look at it. Tells you that the
evacuation of Nigerians from Canada. So yes, go ahead and make the point.
Yes, so Nigerians or the evacuees will bear the cost at a later date. So it's allowed. Government can step in, but the cost is very essential. It cannot be free. That must be made clear. As a matter of emergency, government can do that outright. But just as the case of the US, they may be asked to sign a promissory note, which is a legal commitment that they will later reimburse Ghana. Now, talking about the Wuhan experience, most countries at the initial stages evacuated their citizens out of Wuhan. Japan, New Zealand, UK, Germany. But bear in mind that at the time, the virus has not been declared as a pandemic. It was not worldwide. It was just limited to Wuhan. Even at that, Pakistan refused to evacuate its citizens on grounds that they lack the domestic facilities to treat them in the event that they get the virus back home. So the question is Ghana ready? Ghana, are we ready?
Do you think Ghana is ready?
I do not think so. I do not think so. Now, it will have been a different case if Ghana is refusing to accept its citizens. I'm looking forward that the borders will be lifted very soon. If Ghana refuses to accept its citizens back home, then Ghana will have infringed upon Section 12(4) of the International Covenant on Civil Rights. Ghana will have infringed that. But for that, I do not think that there's any legal binding government to bring them back. So far, it's only Samoa as a country that has prevented 8 of its citizens from coming back home who had transited through Singapore. So as it stands now, I do not think that the Ghanaian government had made any legal error in not allowing or in not evacuating Ghanaians back home.
All right. I think that that's pretty clear to me. So the point that he's making essentially is that the state is not clear to him. The state does not owe any, the citizens caught out there necessarily the responsibility to bring you without you bearing any cost. And he uses the Nigerian example to make that point. This is a letter he says is from the Nigerian government to Nigerians who wanted to get to Nigeria through from Canada, those who were in Canada who wanted to go back to Nigeria. And as part of it, it says, please note that evacuees will bear the financial implication of the evacuation. He also makes the point that the Ghanaian government or the state will be breaching any law if it refuses to accept any citizen back into the country. Right. Very insightful conversation. Mr. Kutor, thank you very much. Take your very final words as we wrap up.
Yeah, thank you very much. Basically, like I said, there is no legal obligation on government to evacuate its citizens back home. People can make the moral argument, but we need to look at the cost implication. The countries that we have referred to that they have evacuated its citizens from Wuhan in 2019, at that time, the virus was not declared as pandemic. It was only in Wuhan, so it was only reasonable to evacuate their citizens. Even at that, not all countries. I gave the Pakistani example that they said because they did not have domestic facility, they were unable to evacuate their citizens. In the case of US and UK, they had evacuated their citizens even after it was declared as a pandemic. March 25th, 29th, the US had evacuated 305 of their citizens back to the States. UK had evacuated their citizens back to the UK, but they were not free. They were not free. There are cost elements. So those making the argument that government should step in, they must tell us where the funding will be coming from.
Thank you very much for joining us. So we've been having this conversation with Mr. Kutor. He's an immigration consultant.